Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Wednesday, January 27th, and welcome to another talk, another special guest talk. I am so excited about having Debbie on, and I'll wait till you guys get on because, there's so much to talk about with Debbie. There is so much, and what a great topic. Trusting again in 2021. I mean, that it's a hot topic, Debbie. I just think it's a really hot topic. And let me just say hi to people. Hello, Christina. Yes, I could see this chat and I could see you. Good to see you. Good to have you on here. Guys, come on in. Let us know where you're watching from. Say hello. Cheers to everybody drinking honey vanilla chamomile. One of my favorites. Yeah, it's really
That
good.
sounds
It's
great.
really, really good. So come on in, everybody. Say hello and tell us where you're watching from. Hello, Priscilla. Good to see you. And Lindsay, good evening. Good to see you. Debbie wanted to ask you. Priscilla is our one of the admins, and do you want her to use your link tree for people to get to where you want
You,
to
you,
to see you?
you can use whatever you like.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, whatever.
Okay. Hello, Pat, and hello, Ellen. Good to see you. Good to see guys, and I know there's a delay, so just pardon us as well. Cindy Garena, good to see you, my friend Cindy. Cindy W was one of my students in
Oh,
massage school. Guys, if you're in Chicago, this woman is one of the best massage therapists that I know. And thank you. And Janice, Upper Michigan. So good to see you, Janice. Thanks for being on here. Bogdan from Romania. Good morning. I think it's morning. And Sarah May, watching you all the way from the UK in North Wales. So thank you, Sarah, for staying up. And good evening, Yvonne from Canada.
nice.
And there is Debbie's link tree, guys.
Thank
Um,
you.
you, she's good about that. And Lindsay, great night for this. It's a full. I know it's a full moon, you guys. It is a full moon, and it is a full moon. Like I don't know about you guys, but if you've been feeling kind of it was solar flares in the sun, right? Solar flares, yeah, in the sun, and it was messing people up for a couple days. They
Wow.
weren't feeling well and all this stuff.
Huh.
So yeah, Shannon, good to see you, my friend. I've missed you as well. Kylie from Australia. Look at all you
Oh,
European, uh, out of overseas people. I'm so excited to have you in here, and thank you. And here is another website, the PBT Institute. And guys, we're gonna start talking in a minute, just so you know. Beth Rogers, good to see you. Julie, welcome, welcome, welcome. Steve Katz, how's it going, Steve? What's up? And Dorothy Baxter, good to see you, Dorothy. Diane, good to see you. You guys came for a great, amazing evening. This is all about trusting again in 2021. I thought the full moon is tomorrow evening, the 28th. Yeah, but it's 3 days before, 3 days after you have that energy. So we're in that energy. We are in that energy. So let me tell you, Dr. Debi Silber is, I just fell in love with you like from the moment we met. So Debbie and I met at the Celebrate Your Life speakers program, and we did it live. So we did it in Scottsdale, Arizona. And guys, I'm 5'4". So I'm not about to sit in the back row of something that's really important. So I'm like, oh, I'll sit in the front row. I mean, I don't care. So I'm sitting down, and there's this woman all the way at the other end, and really good posture, like former massage therapist. So I could totally. And she was like sitting there, and I'm like, there's something about her vibe. When we have a break, I'm just gonna go talk to her. And then a woman came and sat between us. I introduced myself to the woman. I'm like, well, if I introduce myself to the woman, I might as well introduce myself to Debbie. So we're talking, we're chit-chatting. The program starts. It was lunch break. I went up to her and I said, would you like to have lunch together? And here we are. Here we are. And
that's all it takes.
it's all it took. We had a great conversation. Debbie was so gracious. She invited me to the PBT Institute, and I did a workshop out there talking about manifestation. I stayed at your house. I mean, it was like, I feel like such a soul connection with you, really, truly, like a soul sister. And really, really, I mean, from the moment I met you, just grabbed my heart, and I just knew that we've known each other a long time. So let me just tell you a little bit. Debbie has taken this program, starting with the PBT Institute. Please correct me if I get any of this wrong. And she has this system. It's 5 stages from betrayal to post-betrayal syndrome, correct?
I'll step in right here. First of all,
Yeah.
you're like my brother from another mother. I just adore you. And it's true. I just felt like I had known you for years and years. And I remember having you come over and I'm thinking to myself, I never do that. I never have people stay over. I just felt like I had known you many, many lifetimes. So actually what happened was you don't study something like betrayal unless you have to. So I had a horrible family betrayal, thought I healed, and years later, my husband. And it devastated me, rocked my world. So I got him out of the house and enrolled in a PhD program in transpersonal psychology, the psychology of transformation and human potential. While I was there, I did a study. I studied betrayal. What holds us back? What helps us heal? And what happens to us physically, mentally, and emotionally when the people closest to us lie, cheat, and deceive. That study led to 3 groundbreaking discoveries, and you're kind of mentioning some of them. Did I bring you up to speed?
Yes, you did. Yes,
Okay.
you did. And I have to tell you guys, I'm going to cheat with my little notes here, but Debbie has done TED Talks. She's been featured on the Dr. Oz show, and she's been on Long Island News Radio, and she's been in on iHeartRadio and Women for Hire, and all I cannot tell you. I'm looking at the list, and you guys, it's over 40 things on here. And just, I want to be you when I grow up. I really do. I'm just so moved by the work that you do. And you have a new book, right?
I do. It's Trust Again, Overcoming Betrayal and Regaining Health, Confidence, and Happiness. And what was so crazy about this book is that it went out of stock before it was available. So in pre-order, we sold out twice. Clearly, there's a need to learn how to trust again.
Yeah, because what happens, Debbie? I mean, if you could take us through a process, like what happens when trust is broken?
Ugh. It's so foundational. It rocks us to our core. And one of the things that I learned when I was studying betrayal is, I mean, think about it. These are the people that we trusted the most. These are the people who, when everybody else may have been driving you crazy, these are the people who gave us that sense of safety and security. It's like, okay, well, don't worry. I got you. You're safe with me. And when that's the very person, or those are the very people to shatter that trust, it absolutely tattoos itself on our body and mind. And it's a lot to navigate and a lot to move through and a lot to heal from. And sometimes we think, okay, well, let's say I'll go to a therapist. First of all, if that therapist isn't highly skilled in how to help someone through betrayal, it does more harm than good. But, the issues are in the tissues. This stuff gets lodged in there. So we really need to address it physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually.
And what I find fascinating is, going through, now I've had a few relationships. I've been married, and I would say that I've had clients that have had their partners cheat on them. And each time, and I realized this in my second relationship, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's been like 3 or 4 major ones, but we'll say the second one, that when that trust is broken, boy, let me tell you, I mean, I was mad at myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, because I didn't see the signals. Or or I saw the flag and I'm like, let me make that yellow. Let me just make that red flag yellow.
And we do that because you weren't primed to think that way. Why would you? So you have a big, wide open, trusting heart, and you were prey for this kind of thing. And the biggest thing I see is when people say, well, that's it. I'm just going to put that big wall up again. No one's getting near me again. And yes, you keep out the bad ones, but you're keeping out the good ones too. And I can spot an unhealed betrayal from a mile away because it shows up in our work, in our health, in our relationships. Like, for example, in relationships, I'll see it in one of two ways. One way will be when the faces change, but it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. You go from boss to boss, friend to friend, partner to partner, and you're like, is it me? Yes, it is. There's a profound lesson that you're meant to learn. You're worthy, loving, lovable, deserving. You need better boundaries in place, whatever it is. When that lesson's learned, no need to keep repeating it. The other way is when that big wall is up, and we keep people at bay and we think it's coming from a place of strength. It's not. It's coming from a place of fear. And so that's just in relationships. I mean, we see it in health, for example. People go to the most well-meaning, amazing health experts, doctors, healers, coaches, therapists, to manage a stress-related symptom, illness, condition, disease. And at the root of it can be an unhealed betrayal. Then we see it at work too. Think about it. It's how comfortable are you trusting, that boss, that coworker, diving in on that collaborative project. If the person you trusted the most proved untrustworthy, you're terrified. So it shows up everywhere.
It says here, and I just, is it on my end that Elias is glitching?
I'm getting that too.
She said your end too. Okay, and Dorothy says mine too. Could be the weather, guys. Could be all the great energy that Debbie and I have that we're sending through the ethers. Pat Johnson had and guys, please ask Debbie questions. This is a fascinating topic. And Pat says, how come it's common for the betrayer to push the guilt onto you?
Well, because think about it. That's hard to acknowledge and admit. So it's very easy just to throw it on you. And that's how, what typically the person who's been betrayed accepts the guilt, throws it on themselves. The betrayer is typically the one that can try to make someone feel guilty. But here's the thing. I teach something called the window of willingness. This is where you really know what you're working with, because so often, and let me back up. With my two experiences with my family, you can always heal and rebuild, whether it's healing and rebuilding yourself and moving along, or healing and rebuilding with the person who hurt you. So with my family, it truly wasn't an option. Healed myself, moved on. With my husband, as two entirely different people, not long ago, we married each other again. So, I teach how to know when it's safe and in your best interest to move on or to stay. So just to get back to that question, when someone is doing something like that, making you feel guilty, clearly they're not taking responsibility. They're not owning it. So if we were go to, and I'll teach it real quickly, that window of willingness. Window's widest open. This is where you have the greatest potential if you choose to heal and rebuild with that person. So the window is the widest open. This would be, let's say, level 1. And this would look like this. I am so sorry for what I did. I can't believe it. I hurt you so badly. What in the world could I do to make it up to you? Now, of course, with betrayal, it's going to take longer than that, more than that, but you're off to a great start. That person's owning it, taking full, complete responsibility. You'll feel the window closing a bit with this next one. And this is level 2. And it's coming when you hear the word because. Well, I did it because blah, 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 blah. I said it because blah, blah, blah. Now, you still may be willing to listen, but it doesn't feel nearly as good as that level 1, right? Feel the window closing even more with this next one. It's coming when you hear the word you. And this is blame. Well, I did it because you. I said it because you, right? So I call this the two-sided slap. Not only did you get betrayed or whatever, now you get blamed for it. You have very little to work with here. And then level 3 is usually cousins with level 4. sealed shut. That window is sealed right shut. This is when someone is taking zero responsibility for their actions. You have nothing to work with here. When you're with a level 3, level 4, you heal, move yourself along. Level 1, level 2, if you choose,
Right.
you have something to work with. That usually makes it pretty clear. Does that help?
It helps a lot because,
Good.
I think working with clients, and this comes up, and even in the situations that I've been where I look at it and I look at it each time it's happened. I I dated 2 narcissists,
Mm-hmm.
and that was, I'm gonna give. And what I realized was, it's not about I'm gonna give. Guys, remember, Mediterranean, Greek, we gonna fix them. We gonna fix them. I'm gonna go ahead and fix it. And when I realized, no, I don't fix my clients. I don't fix retreat people. I don't fix, friends. Why would I do this to someone I'm romantically with? Why would I do that? Why would I do that with this spouse or anyone?
Yeah. And
And
you're so right. And I talk about it in Trust Again. There's a chapter. I talk about the empath and the energy vampire, how that is the perfect storm. Think about it. Here, there's this loving person who wants to help and heal and give. And then there's someone who is just so willing to take. So, it actually works out kind of well for them until it doesn't.
right.
And I talk about that energy vampire, that narcissist, is almost like a tick on a dog. It's like that tick burrows itself deep in and
Oh,
just sucks the blood out of that dog. And that's what happens. And what do? We need to remove the tick.
and the narcissist that was when I was a people pleaser,
Mm-hmm.
just leached on, and when I said, this isn't really working, I need to live by myself, looked at me and said, so when are you moving out?
Mm.
When am I moving out of the apartment that I've been in for 7 years? Oh, no, 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 no. So it's interesting, like you said, and I believe this too. I think the universe gives us people in our lives continuously until we've learned that lesson, because it might be mom lesson that
Mm-hmm.
goes into boss, which then goes into husband, which then goes into possibly children.
Yeah.
You might get that relationship over and over and over again until you say no.
And you're choosing these kinds of relationships not because they're good, because they're familiar. You meet
Yep.
someone like that and it reminds you of home. This is what I
Right.
know. This
Right.
is home. So we just, we move into things like that. But here's the thing though, it's not without a price. One of the there were 3 discoveries. One of them was that there is this collection of symptoms so common to betrayal, it's known as post-betrayal syndrome. We've had over 14,000 people take the quiz on our site to see to what extent they're struggling. And what's so interesting about it too is, physical, mental, emotional symptoms. But what's so interesting is, first of all, they're, people are just thinking that these symptoms are due to aging, due to whatever. No, they're not due to stress. It's due to that unhealed betrayal. But also this is so interesting. There's a question that says, is there anything else you'd like to share? And we've all been taught time heals all wounds. I have the proof that's not true, not when it comes to betrayal, because people say things like, my betrayal happened 40 years ago and I can feel the hate. My betrayal happened 30 years ago. I'm unwilling to trust again. My betrayal happened 10 years ago. Feels like it happened yesterday. So we know that when it comes to betrayal, we heal when we face it, feel it, heal it.
Yep. Yep. So true. We got some really good. Oh, what happened? Oh my gosh. Guys, I hope you, oh God, that was really scary for a moment. I went out and I went in.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe
Oh,
we're
that
doing some
scared me.
weird energy
That-
stuff.
Woo! Look at that. Wow. Okay. And poof, I'm back. All right.
So magical.
Um, Jean Lynn says, with betrayal, it's often the betrayer to not understand and a short period of time wants you to get over it and move on in the same way they have. Is this a normal process where they wait, or where their weight or secrets have been lifted and released from them and they expected you to do as well?
Yeah, Jean, this is such an interesting question, because here's the thing. The betrayer does not get to decide when you should be over it. This is deep, deep stuff. I mean, this was that person you trusted. This was that person that, without your awareness or consent, decided to break those spoken or unspoken rules. And their job is to be with you through this, if you choose to rebuild with them. If you choose, and I look at it like this, with betrayal, I'm big on analogies, metaphors, never got those right. So just imagine you're like down in this kind of ravine. You don't want the person to be like, come on already. Come on, you're over it. Get up here. You want that person to go right down there with you and lift you up, because that's what it takes. You have to know that this person is so different, that the way they reacted, the way they responded, how they handled you in the past is so dead and gone. But here's what I see. So often we're so afraid of the death and destruction of the old relationship, of the old us. But without that, we can't birth the new. And in fact, there were 3 groups in the study who didn't heal. And there was one group where the betrayer had no or very little consequences. And whether this was out of religious fear, financial fear, not wanting to break up a family, whatever the reason was, they tried to put it behind them. Tell that to your broken heart, it doesn't work. Not only did I only see a further deterioration of the relationship, that group, hands down by far, was the most physically sick. I mean, it's something that if you decide to, and if the opportunity's there, if you're willing and you want to, it takes a lot to rebuild. Like here's another analogy. So let's say I look at trust like a brick wall. Here's my brick wall behind me, right? So a brick wall, and it can take decades to build. There is no shortcut that I know of. The bricks go up brick by brick by brick. And then in one earth-shattering moment, or series of moments, it all comes tumbling down. Now, you can stand there and look at the rubble of bricks and say, I don't have the least bit of interest watching this brick wall get rebuilt. I've been watching it for the last 20 years. I'm not doing it again. However, if you choose to, right, 2 things have to happen. This is if you're building with that person. The person who's been betrayed, where the trust has been shattered, has to be willing to watch that wall get built again. Right. And the person who did the shattering of the trust has to be a really good bricklayer, where every brick is another opportunity to show they're so different. Every brick is an opportunity to show they're trustworthy. So that's why rebuilding trust is a process. It takes time.
And if that trust is broken time after time again, I found, and I'll just talk about myself in this scenario, that was challenging. It was really challenging. And I know that in my dating scenarios, we'll just put it that way, is I ask the good questions right away. I will ask the questions. So guys, if you're single, 2 things. If you're single, number 1, tomorrow night, Liz Dawn, co-founder and CEO of Celebrate Your Life, is doing a free workshop. Sign up for it on Zoom. She's doing a free workshop. Ladies, if somebody could post it on there, that'd be great. It's Attract the Love That You Want. Really good aha moments and good nuggets in there. And your dog agrees too. See? Yes. I think the fascinating piece is that I believe when we are squelched, that we want to come up in a very positive way, but not in like, well, this is what happened to me and blah, 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 because it is, what are you seeing in self? What are you seeing in self, and what have you forgiven in self? That's, I think, is so key, because I've learned that piece, the forgiving self part, was the hardest part of saying, because I can say, okay, sure. But now what's in here? What's in here, and how has that healed? And that's I love this work, and knowing what I know as a massage therapist, and knowing what I know as an energy worker, and doing the coaching, it's fascinating. Like you said, the body will tell you.
Oh yeah,
what's going on.
For sure. And what always happens too, we don't trust ourselves. That's what happens. So yes, the shattering of trust has is looking at that person, say, I don't trust you, but we don't trust ourselves. Even worse, we don't trust anybody because we think we're not able to discern what's right, what's wrong, who can I trust, who can I trust. So the entire thing has to be rebuilt. In Trust Again, I teach a 4-part trust rebuilding process. You want me to share that quickly with everybody? With that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So here's what happens. When trust is shattered, we're so quick because we're like, I just want to be able to trust again. It doesn't work like that. Because if you bypass all of the other stages before you trust somebody again, it doesn't work and it's short-lived at best. So here's what you need to do. It starts because trust is so foundational and the foundation is completely destroyed. We have to rebuild the very foundation. So I'm talking with the very, very foundation. So you don't even trust, will the sun rise? I don't even know. And you test it. So stage 1, you're going to say, is the sun going to rise? I don't know. And you go outside and you look and go, sure enough, there it is. I don't trust it. Check it a few more days until you've rebuilt a foundation like, I can trust that, right? I trust that. That feels solid and stable and okay. I'm getting my worldview is getting pieced a little bit back together again. When you've done that, only when you've done that, you move on to the next level. And the next level is learning to trust your gut. Because if you go back to your experience, like how you said before, those red flags were there and we didn't trust, we didn't listen, right? And I remember a mentor saying that our gut is like 10,000 times more perceptive than our mind. But what do we get that gut feeling, but then our minds talk us out of it, right? So what we need to do is rebuild that trust in our higher wisdom, in our gut, in our intuition, right? Like if you ever see those people where like their mouth is smiling, but their eyes aren't, like it's weird and creepy, trust that, right? Or or someone's saying one thing, but it's incongruent what they're saying, but their mannerisms or their energy is speaking something else. Trust it. And you could feel sort of a sense of safety growing. Only when you trust in your intuition and you test it out until you do, you move to the next stage. And that's trusting in yourself, because it is so common to lose trust in yourself after shattering of trust. So the way to do that is you give yourself little tasks and then you do them. I'm going to drink that glass of water, and then you do. I'm going to, do that workout, and then you do. I will not call my ex, and then you don't. Whatever it is for you, right? And now you know what? I trust myself. My word is gold. When I say something, I mean it. And you can feel that sense of safety and security. So if you've rebuilt the foundation, the very foundation, you trust your gut, you trust yourself. Now you have you're armed, you feel safe. Only from that space can you carefully and slowly and cautiously start trusting in others again.
So true. So true. And like I tell people, this needs to talk to this. Yeah. We were trained that this needs to talk to this. And Greg Braden, and I've listened to Greg Braden and met him, and you've met him as well.
Yep.
Yes, because there's a picture of him with you on your website.
With Greg Braden? No, I don't think with Greg Braden.
There were many people, Debbie. I was like, I so want to be you when I grow up. I
have to tell you, what was one of the most exciting pictures ever? Neil Donald Walsh. Because Conversations with God, Book 1, changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. So when I had an opportunity to meet him, give him a hug, and let him know that was one of the most special things ever.
He's so funny. He is hysterical. And I loved, both of the times at Celebrate Your Life. Just amazing, amazing man. Yeah. Now, I'm going to just go to some of the comments real quick. So Priscilla's going to take your quiz. And here's the quiz, everybody, just so you have it. And Sarah listed this. So holistic psychologist, author, and personal development expert. And there's this, and awesome.
Well, I'll even tell you what, you can go directly to Amazon, but if you go to thepbtinstitute.com/trust again, I'm just going to grab your name and email because I give you goodies, but then you get the Amazon link too.
We all love the goodies, people. Go
want
to
some goodies, just so /trust again. You'll get to Amazon too, but you'll also get some goodies.
Awesome. I love that. Kylie says, if you were betrayed and hurt from a young age as a child, How can you stop it from destroying your adult life
Yeah.
and blame yourself for not being good enough as a child? How can you heal from this?
Oh, Kylie, I'll tell you, there's a, I do this Trust Again challenge. And if you take the quiz, you're on my list, you'll hear about it. And one of the most profound activities we do is really discovering the where this all began. And people always want to sort of dive into their most recent betrayal. And I say, no, that's not where we go, because when we start with the where it all began, where those beliefs got formed, it's life changing. And what also happens is typically people get really, really angry, because then when they realize when it's one activity we do, and they say, oh my gosh, I've wasted 20, 30, 40 years. It's not a waste, because if you didn't know, you would have wasted another 10, 20, 30, 40.
Right.
So when you realize, you have an advantage realizing that's where it stemmed from, that's where the healing work needs to start.
And we talk about, and to bring this into the energy piece, we talk about trusting the intuition, guys, and that's really important. When there is that betrayal, like Debbie was saying, you don't trust that enough, and you have to. You have to. Let me go to Priscilla says, I struggle with that too. Dee Dee said that was me, the empath, and my ex energy vampire, almost 18 years. Wow.
And Dee Dee, I bet you had just about every symptom of post-betrayal syndrome. You can't not. It's exhausting. And the body pays the price.
And speaking of body paying price, Shannon says, I got Lyme disease from my tick.
Yep. Very common, because one of the things that it does is it's all that stress suppresses your immune system. Your immune system's like an internal army. When it's strong, it protects its borders. When it's weakened, it's as if the army is fast asleep, invaders get through. So it is so common that we have a betrayal, and then all of a sudden, symptoms, illnesses, condition, disease. Yep. So as if we weren't feeling bad enough, that's what comes on to. The good thing is we can heal from all of it.
Robin, who's also in New York, says Sparrowbush, New York, to be exact.
Okay.
How does this affect kids in this type of relationship?
You're saying if the kids are so if the parents there's a betrayal, and how are the kids affected? Am I understanding that correctly? Okay, let's take it in that way. Okay, yeah. So everybody does it their own way. I'll share. You speak from my experience, and people within the PBT Institute, they have, everybody does it their own way. My husband was actually the one who told my kids. And now that we're on the other side of this, it was the best thing ever, because they saw mom crash, and crash hard. I didn't want to burden them with it, but I always wanted to be real. And them watching me like that, they learned, okay, stuff is going to happen, and it's going to stink, and you're going to heal, and you're going to be stronger than ever. And I think them seeing me go through that showed them, okay, if things happen, I can handle it. And therefore, and Eliza, you know them, they're 4 best friends now.
They are beautiful children.
Thank you.
Really,
and it's because it's like they've been through war together, and they have such insight, such awareness, such appreciation for family, and just what we were able to rebuild, and so much better. So personally, it was a gift. And I know that sounds nuts, but I can say that.
And guys, I'm just our halfway mark. I just want to tell you guys, come back at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern for our guided meditation. And I'm going to use the word trust. And we're going to do a trust guided meditation. So make sure that you join me at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern. All right. Pat says, do you find betrayal repeats itself within the family? For example, dad cheats on mom, brother cheats, etc. Maybe a learned behavior.
What I think is, unless that chain is broken, it's just so familiar. In my case here, I have 4 kids. They're all so different from one another. But what they learned was they saw how incredibly destructive and painful this was for me, for our family. So they say now, I mean, honestly, they say, you know, Mom, you took a hit for the team. But they wouldn't, they have each expressed in their own way how they could never, seeing me go through this and just trying to hold it together as best I could, they could never do that to someone else. And they see it so clearly. And so does my husband. You know, someone awake and aware wouldn't hurt a fly. Obviously, someone sleepwalking through life who hasn't learned any lessons, well, they haven't learned.
Yeah. I'm just going down the road, guys. So just be patient. Thank you, Sarah May, for putting up the free workshop, Attract the Love That You Want. Irma has a great question too. If you choose to move on, you still have to heal yourself, or future relationships will build on mistrust.
Oh, I love this question. Here's what I would say. If you have not done the work to heal, the last thing you want to do is enter into a new relationship. You need to form a relationship with yourself. And it's almost like, you know, on websites when they're under construction, you need to put a stamp on you under construction, because here's a diagram. I do this all the time. Watch my hands. You will totally see this so clearly. When you're out of a relationship with broken trust, and you were in it for all the reasons that you were and all these kinds of things, and then it shattered, and then you're like, oh, I feel so lonely, I just want to be in a relationship again. The only thing you can do is do this. But here's what happens. When you do the work, like everybody who comes into the PPT Institute, they do the work to heal physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. So if you meet someone here, you know what's going to happen. You're going to keep doing this because you don't want to outgrow them, right? But this feels good and you like it here. So you know what you want to do? You want to stay, and then you're like, why can't they just do this? Well, they're not ready. So you know what you have? You get this, where you're like, oh, I'm not really the least bit interested in you. And they're like, what happened to you? So what you need to do is get yourself so firmly, so solidly here where you are not budging. And then eventually this shows up. That's a power couple.
And I say to people, and tell me what you feel about this, I say to people, align yourself with people that match your vibration or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're vibing up here, like you said, you want that person to be here with you, and together you grow.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the other discoveries was that while we can stay stuck for years, decades, a lifetime, and so many of us do, if we're going to heal, we're going to go through 5 stages. And now we know what happens physically, mentally, and emotionally at every stage, and what it takes to move from one stage to the next. And all of the stages are so clearly outlined. My certified coaches, that's what they're certified in. Like, we know how to move someone through. But here's why I'm sharing that. And I'm happy to even share what the 5 stages are. There's one stage in particular where it is so common, not just to outgrow, let's say, a partner, right? That you were even considering, can I work with this person, but they haven't changed. It's common to outgrow your friends. And it's for exactly the reason what you're saying. You start resonating on an entirely different level. And people say to me all the time, is it me? Yes, it is. You're undergoing this transformation, and what used to work just doesn't work anymore. Totally normal. But if you don't know, you're like, am I crazy? I've had these friends for 20, 30 years. What the heck? Is it me? Yes.
And also, you know, because we talk about trusting again in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
How do we trust the system? How do we trust, you know, what's going on? And guys, this talk is not about politics. Please know, I don't want to bring that up. But it is about where are we going? What are we doing? What are we doing as a united?
And, you know, yeah. And it's interesting when I go through the 5 stages too, you can even apply it to COVID. You know, there's this one stage in particular where most people get and stay stuck. And I see it just with how we're handling this, where some people, you know, think about it. Some people are saying, you know, oh, COVID-15 and it's the worst thing ever. And this and that. And yes, I had it. I understand it's horrible. And then there are the other people who just said, well, you know what? I'm more social than ever. I'm on FaceTime and Zoom all day long. I don't have to leave my house. I could be social. I don't have to travel, right? So there are so many ways to move through everything. Yeah. And who are when we move ahead and we look back, I always want to think, how did I show up then?
Yeah. I just love listening to you. I really do. I could listen to you all day. I really could. And thank you, Priscilla, for putting this on here.
Thank you.
And again, this is Liz's free attract the love you want. And Kylie said, thank you.
Thank you.
And guys, do you have questions for Debi? Do you have questions about trusting, or do you have questions about now I know this is something new because we're on YouTube as well. So YouTube, if you have questions, I think it will show up on here. You can write it on here. I think it will show up. You've done StreamYard, Debi, haven't you? It does show up, I
You
think.
know, I am so much happier being a guest. You can run all the tech and I just want to talk with all your whole wonderful audience.
And that is the that is the one thing that when people know about me, I'm like, I have no idea.
You're doing great.
I press a button and just pray. That's
There
what I
you
do.
go.
I press a button and pray. So when we have this trust, when we have the mistrust, and then it happens again, and then it happens again, and it's, for some, can be a beating down of one's I'm going to say purpose and self-love.
Yeah. You know, we have people in the PBT community where this has been a lifetime story, and that's all they know. And so they assumed, well, it must be, this is just what the best I can hope for, the best I can expect. And I better resign myself to adjusting to this because that's it. And something happens, whether it's the mother of all betrayals or something snaps or just something shifts and they say, maybe there's more. And they come into the community and they're terrified. But then what's so beautiful is they're met with people who went through the same thing, and they're moving through the stages and they're saying, wow, I felt the same way you did. And you know something? There's hope. And this is predictable. It makes sense why we feel this way. Let's give ourselves some grace, some space, and do the work to heal. Because, you know, I don't know if there's anyone stronger than someone who's healed from betrayal. And it's because, you know, think about it. When that was one of the other discoveries, that healing from betrayal is so different than healing from other life crises, death of a loved one, disease. And I had been through death of a loved one and disease. And I was like, betrayal feels really different for me, but I don't want to assume. So I asked all my study participants and I said, if you've been through other traumas, does betrayal feel different for you? Hands down, unanimously, they said, oh my gosh, yes. And here's why. Let's say you lose someone you love. I lost my mom. You grieve, you're sad, you mourn the loss. You don't necessarily take it personally. You know, you don't, you may not feel a sense of rejection. Your confidence isn't shattered. Betrayal destroys the self. Rejection, abandonment, confidence, worthiness, trust, belonging. Those are huge. So when you make sense and meaning out of your experience, then you rebuild the self. You're in an entirely new state called post-betrayal transformation.
Wow. It's good stuff. I mean, it's really good stuff. And people, you know, the light bulbs go off. Once you get it, it's like boom, boom, boom. Dee Dee said she got spastic colon at 23 from that.
Do you know about 45 to 50% of people who've been betrayed, and this is from every couple of months I pull the stats from the post-betrayal syndrome quiz. So out of 14,000 people who've taken it, about 45 to 50% have any sort of digestive issue. IBS, you know, Crohn's, diverticulitis, diverticulosis, diarrhea, constipation. And think about it. That's like, you know, your gut is your second brain. And that's where your immune system is, 80% of your immune system. And think about what the gut does. It absorbs, digests, and processes food. Isn't a betrayal difficult to absorb, digest, and process? Is it any wonder why the gut would be freaking out?
Totally. And the second and third chakra, this is our seat of our emotions.
Yeah.
It's where all that sits. And, you know, it's a lot of, this work is so fascinating to me. And I'm so glad that you do it. I really am. Priscilla asked a question. How old were your kids? Because I worry about this, affects my son, who's 11.
They were teenagers. They were teenagers, and I think that really had something to do with how dramatically my husband shifted as well. Because think about it, um, to have your four kids looking at you like you did what to our mom. If anything is going to have you wake up, fall from grace, realize what truly matters and what you just lost, I have to think as much as he learned it from hurting me, that's an experience I can't even imagine, and I never will have to because I would never do that.
Right.
But it's got to be
Right.
brutal.
And the love that the two of you have, you guys, I have witnessed it. Uh, with my own eyes. I mean, that man loves you to pieces, and it's just, I was so blessed and so honored to be in your home and see the joy that you have created. Beautiful home, beautiful children, beautiful family, and the dogs too, all of them. And it just, you're just a good egg, Debbie. You're a beautiful person inside and out. So
Thank you.
don't make me get all verklempt here on you.
Well, and that's the thing too. I said, if I can heal from this, I'm just taking everybody with me. And here's the thing too. You want to know when someone's truly transformed. Now think about this. A new business and brand was built. An institute was built off of the pain, right?
Right.
So now here I write Trust Again, and my entire story is in there. And I sit the kids down, I sit my husband down, and I'm like, okay, here's what's coming. And I thought everybody was going to be like, oh, mom, come on, they were great with it. And who is my biggest supporter? My husband. Now that's how you know someone is not the same person who could do what they did.
Because when you guys talk, he does come with you on your talks.
He actually, this is so interesting. We've spoken a few times. There was a spiritual event, and he's not a speaker. That's not his world. And he was just so raw and honest. And there were 500 people. It was the first time he spoke. And just about, I think every single person in that place raced up to him. Can you talk to my husband? Can you talk to my boyfriend? It was like a new business was born. So for him, he's not doing that. But he sits the guys in his office down and tells them, don't mess up your life. But
he's got such a great, I mean, he really does have a good persona. I mean, he's a good talker. He's a good speaker, I should say.
Yeah.
Vicky says the person that betrayed you can't admit what they did. How can you even begin to trust that people aren't honest?
Yeah, well, Vicky, when that's the case, when that person can't admit it, first of all, they're dealing with so much shame. There's so much shame. And, how do you heal shame? You bring light to it, you bring honor to it. But if he's not willing, you really have nothing to work with. That was the scenario with my family. I mean, I'm the most family-oriented person I know. And with my own family, it was not an option. So with a scenario like that, you say, okay, what can I learn from this experience? Even though it's the craziest thing, it makes no sense at all. What can I learn? How can I heal? And how can I use that to know if I smell anything similar going forward? My BS meter is so strong, so sharp, and I'll smell it from a mile away. You see? So then the people who hurt you the most are your greatest teachers, and it's a gift. If we don't learn anything from it and we continue to have relationships just like that because it's so familiar, it's, then what's the point? But if we learn from it, trauma well served.
And very well said, because I have to tell you, I always tell people when they're like, how could you have had a narcissist in your life? And I said, I had a couple. And I said, it just happens that way. But the one that wanted my apartment, I said, I got a gift. It was a huge gift. It was a huge awakening. I learned to speak up. I learned to stop being a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I learned to stand up for myself. And what I did was, when people are like, oh, well, you gave away your power. You let them take your power. And I said, no, I didn't let them take my power. The power never was always there. I gave it up.
Yeah.
I gave it up, and I reclaimed and re-owned and empowered. That's why I like saying the empowerment coach. I empowered myself by saying no.
Yeah. And there's a version of us that shows up that is so strong, so solid, so wise, that never would have been birthed had that experience not happened.
Right.
There's
Right.
there's very little about me now that, the beauty is you take the parts you like and you leave behind what doesn't work. And that's why someone who's been betrayed, I mean, they've rebuilt from the deepest, you know, aspects of rejection and abandonment and trust. And I mean, think about it. It takes a warrior.
Right. Right.
So
That's why I tell people, I'm like, look, honestly,
yeah.
truly, I've been through it. I'm a good catch.
Yeah.
I'm like the best version of me. 20 years ago, it was
Mhm.
nice. It was good. But this Elias today,
Yeah.
bring it.
And
Bring
that's why
it.
you're here. You can't help it but attract here.
Yeah.
You wouldn't resonate with this. It just, it'd be nice, but you don't resonate. You resonate here.
Karen says, thank you both so much. Amber says, yes, she's a very beautiful woman. Thank you for your words. Oh,
Thank
that's so
you.
sweet.
Thank you.
Linda says, hello, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
And this is truly fascinating. I can see how it has affected me from long ago. Awareness is key. Thank you for sharing. No wonder I'm still single at 65 years old.
Oh, Pat, let me tell you, do you know how many people came into the community at 65 and beyond? And it doesn't matter. When you wake up, when you learn, first of all, watch who shows up when you clear up all that other stuff. Watch. Your age, you're just starting.
Irma says, absolutely. I ended up with ulcerative colitis from all the stress.
Yep.
It's absolutely true. Stress can cause illness.
100%.
Sharon says, truth. Emmy, I'm just realizing that my parents betrayed me in a huge way. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, lots to heal from Emmy.
Very interesting. I'm so glad you tuned. I'm so glad that you tuned in too, Priscilla. Dee Dee is awesome. You're so awesome, Dee Dee. Donna says, Dr. SILB, you guys.
That's okay.
Everybody, yeah. So wonderful that you and your husband learn your lessons with each other to be able to have so many. I know. Awesome night. Good night, everyone. Good morning, Bogdan, all the way from Romania, 8 hours ahead.
Thank you.
Vicky says, thank you. I've been stuck wanting them to just say the word so I can put it to rest. Making light of it makes it worse, like it was nothing.
Infuriating. You got a level 3 there.
Yep. No problem, Donna. We still love you. Sarah says, thank you both. And thank you, Sarah, because I know it's 6 hours ahead. So you guys are awesome for always watching and so supportive. This was exactly what I need to hear today. Thank you so much for sharing. You're welcome. You know what, guys? I want to honor your time. Will you come back and we can talk more?
Of course.
I just love. I want to give you a big hug. So I'm giving you a virtual hug.
Yes.
Big smooch.
And next time I can even go through the 5 stages and explain them.
That's what we'll say for next time.
People will know exactly where they are and they'll say, oh my gosh, that's why.
So I think, because what I'm doing now is I'm doing theme months. So this was all about intention. Next month is all about love, obviously. And March is going to be renewal. And then April is spring into action.
Oh, I love that.
So you tell me if you want March or April. They're open right now. And we can talk about this
We'll figure that out.
Off the air. So Janice says, love. Dee Dee, be happy to see you again. Yes. Tell us more. Awesome. So you guys, here is Debi's link tree. And remember, it's DE1BISIL, B as in boy, ER. And this is where you'll find everything. If you want the book, can you show the book once again?
Here we go. Trust Again, Overcoming Betrayal and Regaining Health, Confidence, and Happiness. Marcy Shimoff and Joe Vitale from The Secret endorsed it, and Mary Morrissey and Dr. Sue Morter. And
you are so good that you got all them to, I totally want to be, I want to be you.
The next book is coming soon. Let me tell you something. It is, it's next level. It's next level. Yeah.
And this is Vicky saying, yes, please come back. And this is where they go for the book, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
And the goodies.
Awesome. Thank you, Priscilla. Guys, thank you for watching. Again, come back in about an hour. I'll be on the same channels. Hopefully we won't have the glitch thing happen. And we'll be doing a beautiful healing piece about trust. So nice guided meditation. We'll see if we have music or not. It all depends how high tech I can be and if anyone's on Instagram. So, all right, guys, have a beautiful evening. As always, remember, we are here to connect. When we connect, we educate one another. And when we educate one another, we grow. There is unity in community. From my heart to yours, my healing is your healing. Thank you guys for watching. Debbie, oh, thank you so much. So much.
Bye, everybody.
Have a beautiful night, everyone. See you soon.